CSS6 tutorial, linking the CSS file and creating our first page. Previously in our tutorials we've created a CSS file. Next we want to link this CSS file to the template. We have the template open here and we have the CSS file from our previous tutorial. To link the two, all we have to do is to click on the CSS tab, and at the very bottom there's an icon that looks like a chain that says attach style sheet. So we just click it and it will ask us to browse to the CSS file, which in our case we'll find it's in site 1 and I called it PJG CSS. So I'll select it and then open. Next important thing is to add as a link. What we're doing here is we're going to link to the file. You could import the file. However, if you import the file, then any changes you need to make will have to be made in the template, which adds an additional overhead. The best approach by far is to link your CSS file. This way, when you make a change to your CSS file, you just change one file and that change will then take place across the complete website. Once we have that done, we just do OK. And if we look in the code, we'll see that firstly the image here has changed. Okay, so now we have the blue background, which is what we put in our CSS file. We can look at our CSS file here by just expanding. And we see we've got a header section. This is where we had the display block. We've got the asterisk, which covers everything, where we set the margin and the padding to 0. We have the body, where we set the background color to blue. If we didn't like that, we could click here and change the color with the picker to something like green, and it would take effect immediately. And the family font. We can add properties here, which may be easier for some of you rather than typing the code out. Then we've got the container ID. We've got the border left. We've got the width here has been 800 pixels. We could change that if we wished. We've got the header, where we set the height to be 70 pixels and the width to be 100%. So that's the header here. The logo goes here, so it's 70 pixels high. The next piece down there is the nav horizontal, and we set it to be 70, so it's 70 here as well. You'll see a faint yellow line there, which just doesn't appear in real life. It's just to divide the different divisions that are there. We have the LI, active link, and the hover. Okay, so we've got our different colors, and again you can go in here and change as you need be. So we've created this link between the CSS file and template. So you'll see that there's been a change here indicated by the asterisk, so it hasn't been saved. So we're going to go File, Save. Now it comes back this time and says that we don't have an editable region. We've had that before. So let's fix this at this stage. Okay, we want to have an editable region. So what that means is that when we create a new file from the template, we want to be able to add content or make changes to certain parts of the page. We want to, in our case here, have this area up here constant. We'll have our logo there. We'll want the navigation to be constant, so we won't have them as being editable areas, although you could if you wished. The main areas we want to have change permitted in is this area here, which is the main content, and then the aside, which eventually will be over here on the side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to select the text that I have there. This is the main content area, and I'm going to go to Insert, and it's Template Objects and Editable Region. So I'm just going to click on it, and it will create an editable region. It has a name there. Pick something useful. I call the ID main, so I'm going to call this main as well. Okay. And then for the aside, I'll do the same thing. So I'm just going to select the text there. I'm going to go Insert, Template Object, Editable Region, and I'm going to call it aside, which is a very creative name to use. Okay, you'll see that we've got a little bit of blue text added here, main, and a little bit for aside. If we look into the code, we'll see that we've got this new piece of information here, where you've got the template editable name main. In here is text we can change, and then the end of it. So template end editable. And then we've got template begin editable name aside and template end editable. These are just Dreamweaver tags as such. So I'm going to save that now. And this time we won't get any kind of a message coming up. That shouldn't be there. We'll get rid of it and close. Now I've been practicing here, so that's why we have an index file. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so now we want to create a new file. So from the template, so we do file, new, page from template. There's just a list of all the different sites I have. This is site 1 is the one I'm dealing with. Template, we can see here what the template looks like, and create. And we get a new page, and it looks exactly the same as the template. What I would suggest we get into the habit of doing is we immediately change the title. So this is going to be our home page. We immediately save it, file, save. Don't do save as, just do save, and Dreamweaver will take care of everything for you. This is the home page. You'll see that it's positioned itself in the root of your file as you've defined it, and we're going to save it as index. Home page is always called index. Okay, now just to make something different and to show, you'll see here the cursor looks like a stop sign or a not allowed sign, except when you get into an editable area. So I can come in here and I can change the text here. So it's the home page. If I wanted to, I can make changes to the style. So rather than paragraph, I'll have it as being a heading 1, so we'll make it big. Okay. And I'm going to save that. Okay. Now I want to push the website from my local storage onto my web server, which is localhost. So I just go to the Files tab, select the complete site, the high level, the root, and go to the Up button, which is the Put Files button to the remote server. Click on it, and you want to put the entire site. Okay. If you have any files that haven't been saved, like in this case here, it'll come up and prompt you. So you say yes, we want to save it. Yes to all. So now if we go to the index file, if I want to see that on the browser, I just go to the Browse button, which is like a picture of the globe of the Earth, and we'll preview it in Firefox. So this is our page. We'll see now that the button here, the navigation button, is different. We've got radiuses on the side, and that's due to the CSS styles that we put into it. If we roll over, we'll see. If we roll over, we'll see that the button color changes. Okay, so again, these were the styles that we incorporated. So now, rather than having an actual button, we just have HTML5 and CSS3. This cuts down on the amount of data that has to be transferred between the server and the client, which means that the page will load faster and that the user will use less of their broadband. So it works out much better for everybody. Next tutorial, we're going to add some changes to the layout here, and that we want the aside to be over on the side. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Bye now.